Hello, everyone. In this lecture, we're making a fundamental shift in our marketing perspective. Up until now, we've been studying consumer marketing, how companies like Netflix, Starbucks, and McDonald's reach individual customers like you and me. Today, we're entering an entirely different universe, business-to-business marketing. This isn't just a different approach to marketing, it's a completely different game with different rules, different players, and different strategies. To guide us through this complex world, we're going to follow the story of Salesforce, a company that has mastered the art of selling to other businesses for over 2 decades. In 1999, a young executive named Mark Benioff left Oracle with a radical idea. While everyone else was selling software in boxes that companies had to install and maintain on their own servers, Benioff imagined a world where business software lived in the cloud and was accessed through web browsers. This was considered crazy at the time, but Benioff persisted, starting Salesforce in a San Francisco apartment with 3 co-founders and a bold vision. Today, that apartment startup generates over $31 billion in annual revenue, serves more than 150,000 customers across every continent. They're the undisputed leader in customer relationship management software, controlling about 20% of the global CRM market. 3 compelling reasons make Salesforce the perfect case study for understanding business markets. First, they're what we call a pure play B2B company, unlike Microsoft or Amazon, which sell both to businesses and consumers. Salesforce has maintained laser focus on business customers exclusively. Second, you might actually recognize their products, or you will. If you are looking for an internship at a bigger company, chances are you will use Salesforce. Third, Salesforce represents the future of B2B marketing. They pioneered cloud computing, subscription business models, and software as a service before these terms became mainstream. A business market consists of all organizations that buy goods and services for use in producing other products and services, or for reselling or renting them to others. Let me illustrate this with a concrete example involving a company we have discussed, Netflix. The streaming service you probably use relies on Salesforce to manage their global marketing campaigns and customer relationships. Netflix doesn't buy Salesforce software for entertainment. They use it as a tool to better serve their 230 million plus subscribers worldwide. Think about this chain of value creation. Salesforce develops CRM software, Netflix uses that software to improve their customer experience, and ultimately, consumers get better movie recommendations and smoother streaming. Here's a fascinating statistic. The total value of business-to-business transactions is estimated to be 5 to 10 times larger than consumer markets. The fundamental differences between business and consumer markets become clear when we examine who the buyers are. In consumer markets, companies like Apple or Netflix are chasing hundreds of millions of individual customers, each making relatively small purchases. Now contrast this with Salesforce's customer base. They have approximately 150,000, but each of these customers is a large corporation like Apple or Netflix, representing substantial recurring revenue. The math is simple but profound. Fewer customers, higher value per customer, longer relationships. This is why business marketing focuses so heavily on relationship building and long-term partnerships. The decision-making process in business markets is dramatically more complex than in consumer markets. When you decide to subscribe to Spotify or buy new sneakers, you're making an individual decision based on personal preferences, budget, and needs. The process might take minutes, hours, or at most a few days. When a company like Airbnb decides to implement Salesforce across their global operations, it's an entirely different story. This decision involves multiple departments and usually takes 6 months to to 2 years. This means that Salesforce can't just create a great product and hope it sells itself. They need to understand and address the concerns of every stakeholder in the buying process. One of the most important concepts in business marketing is derived demand, and Salesforce provides a perfect example of how this works in practice. Derived demand means that business demand ultimately stems from consumer demand, creating a chain reaction that ripples through the economy. Here's how this plays out. When consumers increase their online shopping behavior, whether due to convenience, pandemic lockdowns, or changing preferences, e-commerce companies find themselves managing exponentially more customer interactions. This surge in customer interactions creates demand for better customer management tools. Companies suddenly need sophisticated CRM systems that can handle complex customer journeys and personalized marketing campaigns. This is where Salesforce benefits. Their job is to be ready with the right solutions when businesses realize they need help. Let me give you an example of derived demand. When COVID-19 hit in early 2020, a local restaurant that had never offered online ordering suddenly needed a complete digital infrastructure, a website, online ordering system, customer database, delivery logistics, and digital marketing capabilities. The result? Salesforce experienced explosive growth. Their revenue increased by 24% in 2021, with much of that growth driven by companies desperately needing digital customer management tools. But here's the key insight. Salesforce didn't create this demand through clever advertising or marketing campaigns. Consumer behavior changes during the pandemic created the demand for them. Now we come to one of the most critical concepts in business marketing, the buying center. When Microsoft decides to spend $50 million on Salesforce enterprise licenses for their global sales organization, who actually makes that decision? In consumer marketing, the answer is simple. The individual consumer decides. But in business marketing, decisions are made by groups of people with different roles, different priorities, and sometimes conflicting interests. That's what makes this challenging for marketers. Let me walk you through the 5 distinct roles that people play in business buying decisions, using a hypothetical scenario where a growing tech startup decides to implement Salesforce for the first time. Users are the people who will interact with the product daily. In our example, these are the sales representatives who need the CRM system to be intuitive, fast, and helpful. They are concerned with user experience and functionality. Influencers provide expertise and recommendations, but don't make the final decision. This might include the VP of sales who has experience with different CRM systems, or IT consultants who understand technical requirements. Buyers are responsible for the actual purchasing process. They negotiate contracts, manage vendor relationships, and ensure the company gets good value. Deciders have the authority to make the final choice. They're usually senior executives who control the budget and are accountable for the business impact of the decision. Finally, gatekeepers control access to information and other buying center members. They might be IT security personnel who must approve new software vendors or financial analysts who screen potential purchases. The complexity here is enormous. Salesforce must create different value propositions, different types of proof, and different relationship building strategies for each of these roles. Not all business purchases are equally complex, and understanding the different types of buying situations is crucial for developing appropriate marketing strategies. There are 3 distinct scenarios, each requiring different approaches from marketers. The first is called a straight rebuy, and it's the simplest situation. This occurs when companies repurchase the same products or services with the same suppliers under essentially the same terms. In straight rebuy situations, the buying process is largely automatic. there's minimal evaluation of alternatives and little committee involvement. For Salesforce, the marketing strategy for straight rebuys focuses on relationship maintenance and demonstrating ongoing value. They want to make the renewal process as frictionless as possible. The goal is to prevent competitors from even getting consideration. The second type of buying situation is a modified rebuy, which occurs when buyers want to change product specifications, prices, suppliers, or terms. This might happen when a current Salesforce customer wants to add artificial intelligence features or integrate with new marketing automation tools. Modified rebuys trigger some level of evaluation and comparison shopping. For Salesforce, modified rebuy situations represent both opportunities and threats. On the positive side, there are chances to expand relationships with existing customers, increase revenue, and demonstrate additional value. However, modified rebuys also create openings for competitors. The marketing strategy for modified rebuys requires a consultative approach. Salesforce needs to deeply understand why the customer wants to make changes, what business outcomes they're trying to achieve, and how different solutions might address their evolving needs. New task purchases are the most complex and competitive situations in business marketing. This occurs when organizations buy products or services for the first time, or when they're making significant changes that require extensive evaluation. For Salesforce, this might be a company implementing CRM software for the first time, or an organization switching from a competitor's platform. New task situations involve the highest levels of uncertainty and perceived risk for buyers. As a result, new task purchases typically involve extensive information gathering, formal evaluation processes, multiple vendor comparisons, and significant committee involvement. For vendors like Salesforce, new task situations represent the greatest opportunities and the greatest challenges. Salesforce must invest heavily in educating prospects, demonstrating value through pilots and trials, and building relationships across large buying centers. Let's walk through the actual step-by-step process that businesses use when making major purchases, using a realistic scenario of how a rapidly growing e-commerce company might decide to implement Salesforce for the first time. The process begins with problem recognition, the realization that there's a gap between the current situation and the desired outcomes. Our e-commerce company might recognize that their customer service response times are too slow, or they're losing track of sales leads. This leads to general need description, where the organization defines the characteristics and quantity of needed items. Product specification gets more technical, often involving value analysis teams that include engineers, users, and purchasing personnel. Finally, supplier search involves compiling a list of qualified suppliers. The team might research vendors online, attend industry conferences, ask for recommendations from peer companies, and review analyst reports. Notice that we're only halfway through, and no vendors have even been contacted yet. The second half of the business buying process is where vendors really start competing for the customer's business, and it's where marketing and sales strategies become critical. Proposal solicitation is when buyers invite qualified suppliers to submit detailed proposals. For our e-commerce company, this means requesting comprehensive information from Salesforce, HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamics, and perhaps other CRM vendors. Supplier selection involves evaluating all proposals against predetermined criteria and selecting the winning vendor. Let's assume our e-commerce company chooses Salesforce based on superior integration capabilities and strong e-commerce industry references. Order routine specification is the negotiation of final contract terms. This includes not just pricing, but implementation schedules, training programs, performance guarantees, and ongoing support terms. Finally, performance review is an ongoing evaluation of whether the supplier delivers on their promises. This structured process protects organizations from making costly mistakes, but it also means that business marketers need extraordinary patience, persistence, and comprehensive marketing strategies that address every stage of this complex journey. Business buyers operate in a complex web of influences that extend far beyond simple product features and pricing. Understanding these influences is crucial for developing effective B2B marketing strategies. Let me walk you through the 4 major categories of factors that shape business buying decisions. Environmental factors include external conditions that affect entire industries or markets. For Salesforce customers, this might include economic recessions that pressure companies to reduce costs, new data privacy, or competitive pressures. Organizational influences reflect the buying company's internal characteristics. This includes their corporate culture. Is it risk-averse or innovative? Their financial situation, are they cash-rich and growing or struggling with budget constraints? Their strategic priorities, are they focused on operational efficiency or digital transformation? Interpersonal factors involve the relationships and the dynamics between different people in the buying center. This includes formal power structures, who reports to whom, but also informal influence networks, communication styles, and personal relationships between stakeholders. Individual factors reflect the personal characteristics of the people involved in buying decisions. This includes their professional backgrounds, risk tolerance, career stage, and personal stakes in the decision. Successful business marketers like Salesforce must understand and address all these influences. They can't just demonstrate product superiority. Digital transformation has fundamentally revolutionized business marketing over the past decade, and companies like Salesforce have led them. To understand the magnitude of this transformation, let's contrast traditional B2B marketing with today's digital-first approaches. Traditional business marketing relied heavily on face-to-face interactions. Sales representatives traveled constantly to meet prospects in person. Product demonstrations happened in conference rooms with printed materials and PowerPoint presentations. The entire process was slow, expensive, and geographically limited. Today's B2B marketing leverages digital technologies at every stage. Prospects can start free trials of Salesforce within minutes of visiting their website. Virtual demonstrations can be conducted across different time zones. Digital contracts can be negotiated and signed electronically, reducing transaction time from weeks to days. Salesforce has a significant competitive advantage in this digital-first world because they were born digital. While competitors with legacy software struggled to adapt on-premise solutions to cloud delivery, Salesforce built everything cloud-native from the beginning. Artificial intelligence represents the next frontier in B2B marketing evolution. It's happening right now and transforming how businesses buy and sell to each other. Here we use Salesforce's Einstein AI platform as our primary example. Lead scoring has been revolutionized by machine learning algorithms that can analyze thousands of data points to predict which prospects are most likely to buy. Traditional lead scoring relied on simple demographic and behavioral criteria, but AI can identify subtle patterns in website behavior, email engagement, social media activity, and historical data to rank prospects with remarkable accuracy. Personalized outreach has reached unprecedented sophistication levels. AI can customize marketing messages, sales emails, and content recommendations for individual buyers based on their role, industry, company size, previous interactions, and even their stage in the buying process. Predictive analytics powered by AI can forecast when existing customers are likely to need renewals, upgrades, or additional services. This allows companies like Salesforce to proactively reach out with relevant offers before customers even realize they have new needs. Automated workflows handle routine sales and marketing tasks, freeing human professionals to focus on relationship building and strategic thinking. AI can qualify leads, schedule meetings, update customer records, and even generate initial proposal drafts. Salesforce Einstein AI is built into every aspect of their CRM platform, providing real-time insights during sales calls, automating data entry, and helping sales representatives prioritize their activities. As we conclude our exploration of business markets through Salesforce's remarkable story, let's crystallize the key insights that will serve you throughout your marketing careers. The formula for B2B marketing success combines three essential elements: relationship focus, solution selling, and digital excellence. First, remember that business marketing is fundamentally about relationships, not transactions. B2B relationships often span years or even decades. Salesforce's most valuable customers have been with them for over 15 years, representing millions of dollars in lifetime value. Second, successful B2B companies sell outcomes and solutions, not just products. Salesforce doesn't sell software features. They sell improved sales performance, better customer relationships, and more efficient business operations. Third, digital excellence isn't optional in today's business markets. Companies that embrace digital transformation, artificial intelligence, and data-driven decision-making will outperform those that cling to traditional approaches. Salesforce's journey from apartment startup to global leader proves that these principles work. Their success demonstrates that with the right understanding of business markets and consistent execution of B2B marketing strategies, extraordinary results are possible. As you begin your marketing careers, whether in B2B or B2C contexts, these insights about how businesses really make decisions will serve you well. The final slide lists the key concepts from the business markets chapter that you should master. Thank you, and keep up the good work.